It's time for part 3 in our series on the passive voice. It's relatively easy to change active voice sentences into the passive voice, but there has to be a clear reason to do it. Let's talk about why we would want to use the passive voice. In these 3 passive voice sentences, consider the reason the passive voice has been used. Basketball was invented by James Naismith. My car was stolen yesterday. The road was closed due to a traffic accident. In the first sentence, the main point is the thing being invented, basketball. The agent is not as important as the recipient. In English, the information at the beginning of a sentence is generally thought to be more important than what comes at the end. So in this sentence, the recipient is placed at the start of the sentence. The first reason we might use passive voice is when the agent is not as important as the recipient. In sentence 2, there is no agent. Perhaps the identity of the thief has not yet been discovered. Since we don't know the agent, we can express this in the passive voice. The second reason to use passive voice is when the agent is unknown. In sentence 3, there is also no agent. And the fact that the road was closed is more important than the agent who closed it. Also, it's pretty easy to guess who closes a road after a traffic accident. So this sentence reflects both reason number 1 and reason number 2 to use passive voice. The agent is unknown, and even if it were known, it's not as important as the recipient. As you can see, there is always a reason to use the passive voice, and the reason is often connected to the agent. In a previous video, we noted that the passive voice is used far more frequently in academic and scientific writing than general writing. Let's consider the following 2 passive voice sentences to find out why. Participants were asked to indicate their preference on the survey. The participants' clear preference for visual instructions was also examined. Both sentences are the sort we might find in academic journals and scientific literature. In both sentences, the agent is not mentioned, but the reader can easily guess that researchers designed and sent out the survey, and it is the researchers who analyze the findings. In academic and scientific writing, the action and the recipient are usually more important than the agent, so it is common to use the passive voice. Now that we understand how to create passive voice sentences and why it is appropriate to use the passive voice in certain situations, it's time for some practice.